And we're here this evening on our way back into San Francisco at the end of this Greater Farallones National Marine Sanctuary expedition to get one more look back into history and dive here on Steamship Ituna.
Might be a piece of wreckage. Looks like maybe the stack.
It's wreckage from the, likely wreckage from the stack. You've called it right. Looks like a steam line.
Now all eyes are glued here in the control van to see Ituna come out of the green here. We'll listen in as we get our first look.
Here she is. Okay, here you go. Here's Ituna.
Can you identify that structure?
I'm going to come up and find the top of the wreck.
Okay, I'll follow you up. Now that you're kind of
one of the features that we noted last year when we were diving and we didn't have the same field of vision was how much of Ituna's hull has started to fall away. There you see the superstructure just above. See that round? That I believe is what's left of the mount on top of the house for the stack. So people are wondering about Ituna.
I think I've seen a
The
line
Ituna
here.
was built as a luxury yacht in 1886 in Scotland, and she was built by the A.J. and Ingalls shipyard in Glasgow, and built for John G. Mackey of Balcarry House,
So as I move up on
Auchincairn,
here,
Castle
can you
Douglas,
just drop
when she was launched on
points
April 21st,
along my path
1886.
to kind of outline the ship?
Ituna is the old Latin name for the Solway Firth, where she first kissed the water. She had several owners before passing to American Allison Armour, a wealthy socialite and yachtsman who was interested in natural sciences. She sailed from New York in December 1894 for Havana and Atlantic ports of Mexico for a scientific research expedition, and in that also sailed down to the Yucatan, to Chiapas and Oaxaca. We like to joke and say that she helped chart a very rare and unknown region at the time. At least it was known to the locals, but not so much to the rest of the world. Today we call that place Cancun. Anyway, one of the features that we see here coming up on the bow is it's got this nice, beautiful formed bow, much like that of a sailing ship. In terms of the form of vessel you see here, this is a period in which sail is gradually giving way to steam. The Scots built some of the finest ships in the world, and indeed, at the same time that this vessel was slipping down the ways, another vessel, born on the in a Scottish shipyard, Balclutha, would also be launched. And today, after a long and storied career, she's one of the premier exhibits at San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park at Hyde Street Pier. And for those of you who know that vessel, I think you can see the relationship, these two products of a Scottish yard.
Ituna sank with a cargo of cement and machinery on board.
And Ituna also sank with 2 men. And I believe, from what we've been told, that joining us tonight for this dive is Mr. Warren Galvin. Mr. Galvin never knew his uncle, George Nevin. George had been dead 7 years when Mr. Galvin was born in San Francisco's Richmond district, my old neighborhood, Mr. Galvin. But I understand that all your life you'd heard family stories about your uncle's loss at sea in 1920 on Ituna, and had looked at photos of this man, wondering about him. We have an account from a reporter that interviewed Mr. Galvin, who says that the discovery last year sparked some real strong sense of nostalgia for Mr. Galvin when Bob Schwemmer rang him up and said he'd like to talk to him about George and what had happened 95 years earlier. It felt that it was unbelievable.
The visibility would be unlikely to be better during the daytime. You'd get some more backscattering, which is light hitting into these particles and bouncing off. We see the same backscattering if you're looking up at the very top of the video frame near our light bar at the top. It just happened to work out that we were on our way back on our final night of this expedition to dive during the night here. But the original assessment of
Hold
this
here
site
for a moment, please.
a year ago was done in sunlight.
So this is a more recent fail on the part of the hull. So we see here freshly exposed plate where what had been there has fallen off, and in fact we can see it just immediately below. You see, there it is, there's that hull plate. So this gives us a good indication of the life and death of shipwrecks. One of the things we're always looking at is how not only during the sinking event a ship becomes a shipwreck, but how over time it becomes one with the environment. So here what's happened is the rivets have started to fail. You see that double pattern of riveting that's common with ships of the time with this type of construction, the strakes of iron being fitted, sometimes in later ships steel as well, being fitted over the frames or the ribs. So here you see, it's a good example of that once fine, it was a beautiful shipbuilding, how these vessels were constructed with rivets, hot rivets, bucketed in, driven, peened over, and then made flush. Watertight seams with a little bit of iron filing put in between to make a rust joint, primed and painted and sent on her way. That's the fitting that would have gone around the stack.
Interesting.
So here again too, you see more of the structure of the ship. In shipbuilding parlance, those are called frames. Many people on shore call those ribs. And that's fine. Here you see a strake that's come off. You see more of the hull plating that's fallen directly below. That's old. That's old damage. She's just coming to pieces. Going to pieces, I should say. Ituna is slowly becoming one with the marine environment. She's been on the bottom now for 96 years. And in shallower water, ships don't hold together as well as they do in deeper water. So if anybody watched and looked at Independence just a couple of days ago, you saw how much more solid she was. Of course, she hadn't been on the bottom as long as this, but also still painted. So we are at the fantail right now. Can you see that below you, Josh?
Roger that, yeah.
Can you drop? Bob Schwemmer, she looks in a little worse shape than when we saw her last year. Do you agree? That's the fantail and is now collapsed down onto the seabed. And just last year, this was all
So after that move,
this was
we
all
would
up.
basically
What would
step
make
artists
it
around and eventually get
deteriorate
back
so
in here.
quickly, like with just
So it might
within
do
a year
like
when
that
it's
move,
been
like
I just
down
think-
for so long?
I think we just it happens. It just the timing is such. If we'd been here, if this was the first time, we wouldn't know the difference. She's probably just reaching that stage where Ituna is just finally starting to go. Rudder is in sight there, yes. You see the rudder? There is the propeller, the fish just swimming by it.
There
So
you go,
for our
that's a better
viewers, there's
shot of it
almost a
there.
question mark shaped dark spot between the large blade-like rudder that is all covered with anemones, and to the left of that, moving to the left of your screen, that's where we're seeing that propeller.
Right, and there's a bit of plate that's fallen down that's partially obscuring the rudder here, but there we're coming in, and there's the actual stern post. So that gives us a sense of how embedded she is in the seabed. At least here aft, the vessel is on the bottom at a level that is below her original water line. So here we are coming up on the bow again, and again you see that magnificent clipper bow coming up. You see the stem, that is the very front part, curving up towards that beakhead where the bowsprit once would have been. Just at the top of the frame you see the windlass.
Do another. Let's do another 15.
But there it is. That is the typical bow
390.
of that amazing structure. That big casting that's got the anemones on it, that is a Trotman anchor.
Right up at the bow there?
Yeah, right up in here. Just it's wedged in. What the anemones are largely covering the one of the arms, but there's the main shank.
Oh, there, yeah, okay, I got it.
All the way up in the bow.
Yes, all the way
Okay.
up nestled in there. And then the second anchor is on the seafloor, just on the starboard side near the bow. And then we're coming up to an area now open to the sea that would have been originally not only crew quarters where these guys would live, but also in its yachting days, staterooms. Later used probably, I think in our fishing days, used separately, perhaps even as a bit of a cargo hold. When we looked in here last year, we saw a few things including refrigeration equipment. which would have been installed for her, I believe, as a fishing vessel to help keep that catch cold.
When Ituna sunk, she was carrying cement and machinery. She was bound for Reedsport, Oregon. She only got about 15 miles beyond the Golden Gate when she foundered here.
That's the mast step
Is
for
it?
the
Oh,
foremast.
okay. Oh, yeah.
What is a mast step?
That's where the mast actually fits in at the keel. See that round thing there, that plate? That's for the foremast.
Oh.
Here you can see the form of the bow again. The frames, the ribs are visible because the plate has peeled away.
Amazing.
We had not seen that before, had we, Bob? That's the ship's helm.
Oh, where are you seeing it?
Well, the wheel is gone, but you see that thing with a bowl on the end of the base? That's how they steered her.
Oh, it's laying on its side.
Yep. Zoom in on that, please. So that is the that's the helm. That's the steering mechanism, and you see that wheel that has the square openings on it. Those are for the spokes of the ship's wheel.
Oh, wow. Oh, I see it now.
It's right up against the refrigeration tank here. Ituna had a larger refrigeration hold when it was a passenger cargo ship before it was purchased by Frank Booth Company and converted into a commercial trawler. Bob thinks that refrigeration plant is the #1 reason why Booth bought Ituna and invested $65,000 in refitting her to become the steam trawler. It's a lot of money.
In its era.
Triple expansion marine steam engine is one of the longer lived marine steam engines of the 19th century. It's the go-to engine for a lot of folks, coastal trade, work a day. It has 3 main steam cylinders that work, and here you can see, you know, you're going from high pressure down to low pressure, moving along. You can see the steam lines coming down and around it, but that's the engine. You got an air cylinder, you got the main steam, so you've got 1, 2, 3 steam cylinders. Basically, these are pistons like in your car, and the steam fills those and it pushes those. You go up and down, and that up and down motion rocks arms down below where the cylinders are mounted, and the up and down motion is translated into a rotation. You open up more steam, faster she goes, voila, you're driving.
Totally amazing. You're seeing sea cucumbers there, lingcod, sea stars, and all kinds of small encrusting invertebrates.
There's the ladder going down to the engineering spaces.
Oh, that's incredible. That view's amazing.
Not a lot of room down there.
No.
No, you gotta watch yourself. There's guys, so the wipers are the guys with rags that are making sure spare oil doesn't go everywhere, and the oilers are making sure oil goes in the right place.
My 5 years of Latin, totally paying off.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold, drop pin down to the plates.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells you where the galley was.
Oh, wow.
Can we zoom in on that?
Now, just behind those 2 large fish, in the lower third of your image, right in the center, there is a plate there. That's
Oh,
what
there's a stack
all the
of
excitement
There's a
is about.
stack of them, yeah.
Nice. So see, it just natural decay, the ship, the wood stuff going and falling in. It's all that superstructure you see there, just becoming one with the ocean.
Is that a wolf eel? Oh, really? Maybe?
Is it?
Oh, sticking
Can
its
we
head out.
Let's
check
zoom
it
in on
out?
him.
Sticking his head out of there?
Yeah.
Will you
Let's
zoom in,
look.
please?
Oh, yeah. I
Look at him.
love these.
How's it going, buddy?
So cool.
So cool.
This
That's
is a
perfect-
wolf eel?
Perfect home for him.
That's really impressive.
Oh.
We're hunting for the other anchor.
And you found it. That was a good call there.
Yeah.
Well, full
Wow.
disclosure, I have my archaeologist field notebook here from last year
Aha.
with my sketch notes of where things are. And there you see, we call it a Trotman anchor. You see it's a very distinctively shaped anchor, and you'll see how the arm has a very particular design which says that's a Trotman. That's the type of anchor it is.
So wonderful. Lots of great comments pouring in for getting to see an entire season of exploration and capping it off with this awesome wreck. Thank you for doing this with us. It's a big part of what makes our jobs amazing, is to not only come to these places and experience them, but share that experience with so many other people.